is the Savage Nation. You know, I remember during the Bush years when there were Bush bashers, I would turn off the show immediately saying, I can't take the Bush bashing anymore. So if I start by bashing Obama, you'll say I can't take the Obama bashing anymore. So I don't intend to bash Obama. I'm going to let you decide if you think it's appropriate for his wife, Michelle Obama, who has abused the privilege of being First Lady in her excessive travels, her abuse of the numbers of staff members, etc. If you listen to what I'm about to play for you, okay, I'll back up. How are you today? It's Blue Monday. You having a nice day? I'm not telling you a meatball story. I'm going to ask you to listen to a soundbite from this weekend where the First Lady goes to a graduation in Topeka, Kansas, and immediately stirs up racial enmity in clip number 4. Just listen to this.
Because the fact is that your experience here in Topeka would have been unimaginable back in 1954.
Here we go again.
When Brown versus Board of Education
Bingo.
first went to the Supreme Court,
Again.
this would not be possible.
Again.
As
Animal
you all
Farm.
know, back then, Topeka, like so many cities, was segregated. So black folks and white
You
folks
hear this?
had
You
separate
hear this? They want to
restaurants,
turn the
separate
clock back.
hotels, separate movie theaters, swimming pools, and, of course, the elementary schools were segregated too.
How do you feel about the First Lady of the United States stirring up such racial enmity in this speech? But wait, if you think it's an isolated event, you're wrong. There is a war going on. If you were to listen to any of the several commencement speeches given by various members of the Obama administration over this weekend, including Nancy Pelosi, Eric Holder, and Michelle Obama, you would think that they were rallying troops for a coming civil war. I want you to now listen to the next one. Play any of them, Neil. The people don't believe what they're listening to. Listen to this one.
Codified segregation of public schools has been barred since Brown.
Here we go again.
But in too many of our school districts, significant divisions persist and segregation has reoccurred, including zero-tolerance school discipline practices that, while well-intentioned and aimed at promoting school safety, affect black males at a rate 3 times higher than their white peers.
Now listen to that. Listen to what this lunatic just said. Zero-tolerance policies on various and sundry offenses in schools are affecting black males at a rate of 3 times higher than their peers, as if they're targeting black males, not because the black males are causing more mayhem. Do you understand what's going on here? It's Animal Farm. It's upside down. It's doublespeak. It's everything we were warned about. Everything we were warned about from the beginning of the consciousness of social engineers and social engineering. Do you think the members of the Obama administration are going too far in these commencement speeches? I certainly do. I believe that they're stirring up conflict on purpose, incidentally, but it gets even better. In the next clip, little Timmy Geithner, remember him? The stooge frontman that they used for years to run the Treasury Department. The stooge now gets up there, a spoiled rich white boy from Queens, New York, grew up in a well-to-do family. They took care of him. This jerk, Geithner, has the nerve to suddenly get down with the same message and says how well you do in life depends on the color of your skin. I'm not making it up. Listen to Geithner now.
We have tremendously high numbers of people living in poverty. We've had a long period where the median income has not grown, big rise in inequality, and to an extent it should not be acceptable to Americans. You know, how well you do in life today, how good your education is, how good your health care is, depends too much on the color of your skin or how rich your parents is, and that's something that should worry all Americans.
You lousy thing, you liar, you. How do you face your wife and children if you have them? How do you face your parents, Geithner? Aren't you ashamed that you've become, I have a word for it, but it's a German word that I fear using on the air because it'll be misinterpreted. Geithner, you're an embarrassment to the human race. How could you, a spoiled, rich white boy from Queens, New York, I think you grew up in one of the 5 towns, Lawrence or one of those towns, how do you have the nerve to get up there and make believe that you're down with the people who are oppressed in America? It's 2014, Geithner. Little Timmy Geithner joins Michelle Obama, joins Eric Holder, and it goes on. It goes on. It gets better now. You ready for this one? Here is none other than one of the wealthiest women in the world, perhaps the most powerful woman in the world, Nancy Pelosi, acting as though she's a member of the Occupy movement. When you listen to this, you'll understand why I tell you they're trying to stir up a civil war in this country. Listen to this now from Pelosi.
Our founders were successful disruptors of the then status quo. Being called a disruptor, in my view, is a very high compliment. You here in Berkeley are already disruptors in many ways. In 1964, Mario Savio and company were disruptors of the
piece
status
of garbage.
quo.
A piece of garbage,
When he
Mario
and his
Savio.
fellow activists occupied Sproul, their exercise of free speech could only travel as fast as television, radio, and
Oh
newspapers.
my God! Listen to this
Think
woman.
of your possibilities.
Oh my
Now
God!
It's all about you.
Did you listen to what this woman just said? She is one of the most powerful, one of the richest women on earth. A woman who has greatly enriched herself during her years in politics because of her genius, stirring up the idiots at the University of California to go out and be disruptors, citing Mario Savio, who was nothing, a loser, a sad sack, a nobody. No one remembers him. Now, why would Michelle Obama, Eric Holder, Timmy Geithner, and Nancy Pelosi on the same weekend come out and tell people to go out and to disrupt? Disruptors are good. How about disrupting Nancy Pelosi's office with some questions about her? You think she would take well to that? How about if the conservatives in America or fair-minded people in America went outside Nancy Pelosi's office and started asking questions about her finances? Do you think that she would welcome those disruptors? You know she wouldn't. How do you feel about this government stoking racial divisions, and why do you think they do it? Now, you know what I think. And that is this. In October, I have a major book coming out, Stop the Coming Civil War. I felt that the Bundy standoff was the beginning, the first shot in this war, when the government aimed telescopic sights at pregnant women and children, and only at the last minute were called off from killing innocent Americans who were simply exercising their rights of his free assembly. And here you have Nancy Pelosi saying, be a disruptor. What did she say about the Bundy standoff? She called him every name under the sun. What does Eric Holder say about people who exercise the rights of free speech and free assembly? What do they say? They're not just hypocrites. They're very dangerous. They're very, very dangerous. Why do you think they're doing this? And moreover, do you think it's appropriate for universities to hire politicians to give speeches at graduations? As you well know, I'm one of the most famous writers and broadcasters in the United States of America. When have you last heard me invited to give a graduation speech? Never. The lousy, low-life left-wing fascists wouldn't even let someone as modest as Condoleezza Rice give a speech in Rutgers last week. The low-life leftists who don't even belong in colleges, they belong in a penitentiary, disrupted the university's invitation to Condoleezza Rice. When have you last heard a conservative of any stripe at any level give a speech at a college? The answer is never. We have let a small group of small-minded radical communists take over the universities and take over the blogosphere and take over the TV commentators and take over the editorials at papers like the New York Times. They don't represent the people. They don't even represent a large majority of the Democrat voters who are so ignorant they don't even know what's going on. There's another clip. You ready for this? Here's John Kerry at Yale talking about poverty again. Here's a man, one of the richest men in the world. Listen to this now.
If we don't do more to coordinate an attack on extreme poverty, provide education, opportunity, and jobs, we invite instability, and I promise you, radical extremism is all too ready to fill the vacuum left behind.
Did you hear what he just said? He is literally saying that he will stir up the masses to riot and burn cities down. He just said radical extremism. What do you think Kerry meant by radical extremism is ready to fill the gap? It means the mobs have the Molotov cocktails. The mobs have the matches. They're just waiting for their marching orders from this administration that wants a conflagration, in my estimation. This administration which wants a conflagration, in my estimation. 3 words that end in N. That opens up a line at 855-407-282. I will ask you again. Why do you think they're doing this? Do you actually agree with me? Do you think that they're doing this on purpose? I do. They're all giving the same speech in a different form. They're trying to scare people, and they're trying to stir up the masses to revolt. What is it that they really want? They're flooding America with illegal aliens. They released thousands of criminals from Mexico, El Salvador, Nicaragua, and other countries that were imprisoned. They released them, and many of them went on to rape and murder again. Why are they releasing dangerous criminals onto the streets? Is this all tied into the coming civil war? Listen to me. You may say, I don't want to hear it anymore. I've heard it all before. No, you haven't heard it all before. Don't be a moron and think you heard it all before. You haven't heard all of it before. You probably heard none of it before. All you heard are clowns and entertainers pretending that all is well in this land. All is not well in this land. We have the most dangerous fanatics in the history of the United States of America trying to set the nation on fire. It starts with rhetoric, and then it moves to a Rodney King. It starts with rhetoric, and it moves to a city burning. Is that what you want? You want your city to burn in the name of equality? Is that what you want? Is that what you want, your child to be on a campus throwing Molotov cocktails? Is that what you want? Because that's what you're going to get unless you stand up and say, enough is enough from these left-wing fanatics. Just say no to Holder. Just say no to that liar, Michelle Obama, who talks about the 1954 civil rights era as though it's today to a group of African-American kids in a high school in Topeka, Kansas. Now, why would she say that to these children when they've grown up in a colorblind society with every opportunity in the world, not only equal opportunity, I will dare say a better opportunity. And I know it for a fact that corporations bend over backwards to give minorities a boost up, to show that they're nice and good. We know universities, every child knows that they're going to take minorities with lower grades, lower SATs. Everyone knows that for a fact, and very few people will say it. Everyone knows it for a fact. Even the most liberal white girl listening to this show knows it for a fact. But she's uncomfortable hearing it because she's been brainwashed into thinking that just saying what is racist. That's called brainwashing. You know, back in the 1930s, there was a regime called the Nazi regime in Germany, and they made children think certain ways. In fact, they made children turn on their parents. They made children report their parents if they were suspected of not being loyal to the party, the Nazi party, not being loyal to the government. The children were encouraged to report their parents. Do you think we're very far from that in this country when you have a group of left-wing fanatics from the president on downward, including the list of characters that I just named for you and played their sound bites? Do you think that they actually want peace in the land, or do they want something else in the land?